Hey.
Hi. How y'all doing?
Doing all right, I guess.
I'm excited for October. Okay. I think Jimmy's going to come on, and then we'll start then. We were all here for the last workshop, right? Cool. Okay.
I missed the second half. So what did you guys do in that time? I never got a chance to look at it.
Oh yeah, in the second half I'm trying to remember what the cutoff point was.
So yeah, when did I leave? When I left, you were making the car move, I think.
Oh right. We added obstacles and then also obstacle collision. So you can move.
That's right. We'd done that. We had done that too. Was there anything else? Or maybe we had started on that. Okay. Sounds good.
Was it like
I think
the
I'll be able to
camera
keep up.
stuff?
Yeah, did we work with the cameras? We were able to have the camera follow the car.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's okay though. This workshop isn't going to be touching that project at all.
Okay.
Hi Lena. Hi Jimmy.
Hello.
Emily.
Hi.
Hey, Emily,
Thanks for everyone for joining.
Can you record this session too? So like later on we could post it up on Discord?
Yeah, it's recording right now.
Cool.
Okay. Let me know how long you guys meet for. I'm gonna hop off, but I just wanted to say hi and thank you, Emily, and thank you guys for joining and getting extra learning in on a somewhat holiday. I know some of you may have not have. Did you have class today, Kevin?
Yeah, I did have class today.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right.
Thanks, Lena.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, bye.
Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen. Then what I'm going to do here is open up Unity Hub, and we can actually open up any project you want to, because what we're going to do today is just work on the user interface, creating like a start screen, a loading screen, and a pause menu. So I'm going to open up the project that we did last time with the car. I think it's called Unit 1. Yes.
I think we might have called it prototype 1.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Let's see if it's the right project. Oh, let me just show you what the end result of today should be. Hold up the. Yeah, you can just open up any project. We're gonna create a scene for it. So this is basically what we're going to end up. We're gonna have this play button, options, quit, to quit the game. You click play, it'll open up a new scene. Then we can create this kind of pause screen by pressing the space button. And that's the goal of today. So yeah, you can open up any project you want to. And this is the prototype or Unit 1 project that we did last time. Cool. So let me know when you guys have that opened up.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Nick's good as well. And so is Eddie and Kevin. Jimmy, do you have the project opened up?
Oh yeah, it's cool. I'm just like taking notes and stuff. So yeah, you can move on without me.
Okay, cool. So I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but the thing with Unity is that everything is kind of built in scenes. So we created a scene last time called Prototype 1. It's going to contain our game. If we wanted to create multiple levels or multiple environments, we would create new scenes. So here I'm just going to right-click my folder. And depending on how your Unity interface is set up, you might have to look for this project tab. But once you find the project tab and you see the scenes folder, you just go ahead and right click and we're going to go to create. We're going to create a new scene. So right click the project folder, create a new scene. And then you're going to get to rename the scene, and I'm going to call this main menu. And it's just going to be automatically part of the scenes folder. If you didn't create it inside of the scenes folder, you can just drag and drop it. Not necessary, but it's good to keep like a clean structure for your project. Then I'm gonna hit enter. And I'm gonna double click or select the scene. You can also click open to open up the scene. So this is gonna create a brand new scene. And every scene has a default main camera, which is what the player is going to see in your game view, and a directional light. If I turned off this directional light, the scene is dark. Cool. And in the scene, we can interact with the camera in the scene view as usual. We're creating a UI interface, or a user interface though. So we can just click on 2D since UI is 2D. Then we can go ahead and start creating the menu screen now. Let me know if we want to slow down at any point. You guys can use like the zoom reactions, like the slow down one, or anything else. I think last time I kind of went a bit too fast. So yeah, let me know if you guys want to slow down at any point. We'll open up the participants window. Okay, cool. Nick gave me a thumbs up. Thanks, Nick. Cool. So to create a UI, to create the UI, we're actually going to right click in the hierarchy and we're going to go down to UI here. And the first thing I want is kind of create a background or like a backdrop, because right now Unity's default backdrop is kind of ugly. So I'm going to go down to where it says panel. So I'll go to UI panel. And if I actually create a panel right now, it's going to automatically create an event system, which we don't have to worry about with UI, but it's also going to create something called a canvas. If you double click canvas, it's going to kind of focus on this little object right here. That little white screen is actually the panel. But what a canvas is this overlay that we're going to put over the camera and over the user to create the user interface. And then we're just going to go ahead and choose something for the panel. I'm actually going to, for the background, I'm actually going to just Google search something like black screen. Or maybe something like, but go ahead and just choose any black screen or background that you guys would want for your user interface. I think I want something maybe like this. It's kind of nice. It's pretty dark, but like has some appeal to it. I'm just gonna go ahead and save the image.
What format does it have to be in?
It doesn't actually matter because what we're going to do is import it into Unity and then change the format to what we need. Yeah, good question. Probably PNG or JPEG though. So I'm gonna save the image, and you can save it wherever you want to. You can save it directly into the project folder. I'm just gonna put it in my downloads so it's a little bit easier to import. Then what I'm just gonna do is create a folder called like art in my project hierarchy or project structure. I'm just gonna drop this image into the project right there. So now it's just inside of my project folder. So let me know when you guys have a background chosen and dropped into your project folder.
Still working on it. Just created the folder.
Okay, sounds good. Cool, Kevin and Nick are good. Jimmy's taking notes.
Should it just be called? Doesn't matter what it's called. I called it black screen.
Yeah, that works. Since we're only using one art asset, it doesn't matter too much, but yeah, something like background or black screen or panel image, whatever works.
Does the size matter?
Not, I think as long as you have a big enough image, it should be okay.
Cool. I'm good then.
Like a nice rectangle. Okay, cool. Eddie, you're good? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this full screen. So now that you have the image in your project folder, we're actually going to want to make it compatible with Unity by telling Unity that it's going to be used as a sprite. We're gonna click on the background image, and it's gonna open up the background import settings in the inspector here. It's going to allow us to change a lot of the settings here. And we're gonna wanna make sure to go to texture type. Instead of selecting default, we're gonna make sure we select 2D and UI sprites so we can use it as part of our background. And then we can just apply our changes. Cool. And then we're gonna go down to panel, and where it says image, source image background, I'm just going to drop this background to right there. Just drop it into this little area. You can also click on the circle right here and type in background to find it, or type in the name of your image to find the specific image that you're trying to use. This works. Cool. Now if I focus on the canvas in my scene view, I see this kind of like gray image, and in my game view, I see this overlay that covers up my whole camera. And it's not quite what I want, so I can actually adjust the color tint to whatever I want it to be. So I can make it a red tinted image if I wanted to. I think I'm gonna keep it the original color, so I'll stay with white. And then I'll change the alpha value to something to 255. That is no transparency at all. Then I can just save what I have right here. And if I stop at any time and then you catch up to me, feel free to just give me a thumbs up in like the participants window or the video camera, so I know that you guys are ready to move on.
Sorry, where was the transparency again?
Yeah, so if you click on panel, it's going to be this color right here. So you can click on color, this little rectangle, and you can change the alpha value.
Cool, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
What alpha value did you use?
I use 255, the max alpha value, just because I don't really want a transparency in my background right now.
Is that part of your image? Mine's just black. Is that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
chose an image that has this interesting texture.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? We're still working on it. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do now is actually create like a play button. So I'm gonna right click my canvas, and I'm gonna go down to UI, and I'm actually going to put in some text that says play. There's two different text options. The one that just says text, and the other that says Text Mesh Pro. Text is Unity's default text option, but Text Mesh Pro has a lot of more cool settings that we can use. So we're actually going to use TMP, Text Mesh Pro. And then you might get this box that says import TMP Essentials. Go ahead and click import. Might take a cool second. Cool, and we don't need to import TMP examples and extras. We can just leave that there. And that's going to create a new folder in your assets folder called Text Mesh Pro. You can look up the documentation. There's only like one font in there, but you can add more fonts. There's resources, shaders and stuff, and sprites. And another cool thing is that we actually have text on the screen right now, except all it says is new text, which is a work in progress right now. Cool. So now that we have this text, we can actually click on it. And in the inspector view, we scroll down, we see a rect transform. We can use this and we can click on this direct transform right here and use it to align the text wherever we want to. If I wanted to center it, I could just click Alt-Shift and then the middle button. That's not really necessary for what we need to do, but something cool to know. And then if I scroll down, we have this whole component here called Text Mesh Pro UGUI. It gives you a lot of settings. You can actually change your text here. So for example, I want my text to say play. I can choose the font here. I can change the font style and the font size. Actually, for the font size, I probably want something bigger, like maybe like 75. So I have a nice big play text right here. Then you can change a couple settings too. I think the biggest thing I want to do in any custom project is probably change the fonts, because they only give you one font right here, the Liberation Sans, and it's like, okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look for a new font right now. Let me know when you guys are ready to go search for a new font. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead. So let's go back to Chrome, or whichever browser you use. I'm going to, one of my favorite fonts is Roboto. So I'm just gonna look up Roboto as a Google font. And I want a nice thick font, so I'm just going to scroll down until I see something like bold. You can choose any font you want, or you can use the same font as me. I'm just gonna click download family. It's going to download this whole folder. I only really want one font, so I'm just going to copy and paste the font I want and put that one into my project hierarchy. I'm going to put it in my fonts folder right here. Oh, did I do that right? Okay, I had to drag and drop it. Oh no! That didn't work. Okay, I'm just gonna try to extract the files first. Extract the folder to my downloads. Then open it up and then drop it in. If it doesn't work for you guys, there's a couple of other options we can use to import fonts too. So just let me know. Cool. Let me know when you guys have your fonts placed into your project folder. Cool. Kevin and Noah have it done. Looks good. Eddie, you still searching for a font? All right.
Sorry, where does it exactly go?
You can put it anywhere in your assets folder. And I chose to put it in the folder that says Text Mesh Pro. And the font subfolder inside of it.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Cool. So now we've downloaded this font, but we also have to make sure it's compatible with TextMesh Pro. So what we're going to do to that is we're going to go to Window. If you have a Mac, you might have to go to Unity and then Window. I'm not sure about that part. But Window, and then we're going to scroll down to TextMesh Pro, and then we're going to go down to Font Asset Creator. And just go ahead and click that. You're ready. This should open up this folder. So again, that's Window, TextMesh Pro, Font Asset Creator. Cool. Then we're going to, for source font file, we're going to click Roboto Black or whatever font you had chosen. And then we're going to generate font atlas. Then you can just save it. You can save it in the same folder or wherever you want to save it. And then you can use this font now. So we go to text, and then we select the font to use. Cool, so now my play button looks decent. Awesome. Okay, so we have a big play button. It's not quite centered on the screen, but that doesn't matter because we're going to move it up later anyway. But I think there's a couple more adjustments we can make to make this look a lot nicer than it is. So I'm going to I'm going to select the text. In my inspector, I'm going to scroll down. So I have the text component, this TextMesh Pro, in full view. Actually, I'm going to scroll down even more. I'm going to create this underlay. So we kind of create this shadow. I'll make it look a lot nicer. So I'm going to check underlay. I'm going to click to expand. And I'm just going to go ahead and look through these options to see what I want. I think I kind of want to create a shadow. So I'm going to offset this X value to the right and offset Y low, a little bit downwards. And just to give a good view of what that looks like, I'm just going to choose some like obnoxious color so we see what that looks like. So we see there's a little cool looking shadow right there. I'm gonna kind of increase the softness a bit, not too much, but probably something like that. That looks really good. And then I'm gonna go back to black. So it's a little bit hard to see right now, but if we change the color of the play button, I think it'll be a bit more obvious. I probably want to maybe, yeah, it's pretty hard to see, actually. But something like this, maybe up the alpha a bit. You can play around with it. You guys can also add lighting, the bevel. Ooh, that's cool. Or like a glow if you wanted to. So there's like a green glow here. I think I just want to create an underlay for now though. Ooh, there's also like an outline. Yeah, there's a lot of cool options for like all the UI you could hope to achieve. Something that's really cool about Unity that I really like is that half of the things I do on Unity to create a project isn't even scripting related. Like we're doing all of this just using Unity's interface, which I think is pretty neat.
A quick question. How does it know which scene to choose?
What do you mean by that? Which scene to choose?
Yeah, because we've got 2 scenes in our project. Like,
Oh, good question. So we can open up, we have to choose one scene to work on at a time. If I open up my scenes, I have 2 scenes, a main menu and a prototype 1. If I double click or select or right click and open any of them, it's going to say right here in your hierarchy which scene you're on. So you should be in the main menu scene.
I mean, how does the game choose? Like when you're
Oh, how
playing?
does the game choose? Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, when we build the game, so if I go to File and go to Build Settings, you can add scenes to the build. So if I wanted to open up my main menu scene first, that would be my first scene. And then if I wanted to add my prototype 1, that would be my second scene right here. And then we can actually, when we click play, we can script the play button to open up a specific scene. Yeah, we'll do this again in a second. Okay, does everyone have a nice aesthetic text? We're gonna add some color to it too. All right, so I actually really like playing with gradients. So if you scroll up to the very top of your text, your TMP text components, you can click on this color gradient option. You can also just choose a vertex color to use like a straight color. But I'm just gonna go with a nice color gradient. And here, you can actually go choose a 4-corner gradient, a vertical or horizontal gradient, and then you can change the colors each time. But I actually want to create multiple text options and multiple buttons, and I want them to be all the same color. So instead of manually creating a color each time, because then if I change the color, I would have to go back and change every text option, I'm actually going to create a type of color gradient material or art asset. I'm gonna put it in the art folder so that if I change it one time, it'll affect everything that I've attached the art asset to. So I'm gonna right click art, and I'm going to create, and then I'm gonna go to TMP Text Mesh Pro, and I'm gonna choose color gradients. That was a lot of options, so I'll just pause here on the screen for a second. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna select color gradient, and I can rename this if I want to. Probably I'll just delete the new word. And then instead of 4 corners gradient, I think I'm gonna go with a vertical gradient. And you can go ahead and choose whatever color you want to. I'm going to do with, maybe go with like a nice yellow. Yeah, here we go. Something like that. And it's kind of a little bit hard to see how your colors are going to look right now. So you can just choose some random colors right now, and we're going to go ahead and apply it to the text. Then maybe we'll spend some more time customizing colors. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go to my text. The gradient is right here in my project folder. And this is where I checked color gradient in my inspector. I'm gonna pick up this color gradient and drag and drop it into this color preset. So now this is how my text looks. I'm gonna go back to TMP color gradient and kind of play around with the colors some more because I think I want a darker orange there. Yeah, it'll change in real time too. So wow, these colors are kind of cool to play around with. I think I want something kind of like this. Maybe that's a bit too red. A bit higher. There we go. Now that looks kind of like something you'd see in an actual like mobile game, right?
Hey, Emily.
Yeah.
Like at this part, do you ever go into like tangential discussions about RGB, or do they ever ask you, like students ever ask you, oh, what is FDD? What does all that mean? Or
Yeah, wait, that's a really good question because I hadn't considered it until you brought up that point. But a lot of times my students will ask me like, what do these numbers mean? And then a lot of students will know what like RGB is, but this would be a good time to talk about like maybe what hex values are. And I think one student was really interested in it. So we talked about like binary numbers, hexadecimal numbers, and how to like translate between the two too. So that was a pretty cool segue into like a more technical like related topic, even though it's related to art. And this is also a really good time to kind of pull out a color wheel too, because students kind of don't really know, or like younger kids don't really know like what looks good together. So I would pick up like a color wheel and then kind of play around with complementary colors to choose like a nice color theme.
Emily, how old is your youngest Unity student?
I think 12, 11 or 12.
Would you say any age under that should not learn Unity because of the options, or?
Yeah, I would say so. Even 12 is kind of pushing it. I would say maybe like high school age would be a good time to learn Unity.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, do you guys have your colors picked up? Cool. So we have this play option or this play text. I think it looks really good. So now what I'm gonna do now is select my move tool. You can also press W on your keyboard to select it. I'm gonna go in my scene view. Well, let me actually move the camera a bit better too. Okay, I'm just gonna move this a little bit higher on the screen. And I wanna center it pretty much exactly in the middle. So I'm just going to set my position X to be 0. And then my text alignment to be centered here. Actually, before that, well, just go ahead and yeah, get that done. Forgot. We're gonna want to turn it into a button.
Can you go over text alignment again?
Yeah. So you can just use a move tool to move the text around. You just keep it. And then in the text component, and where it says alignment, just go ahead and select the center options right here.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And I completely forgot, before we move the text to the top of the screen, we're actually going to want to create a button and move the button to the top of the screen and align the text relatively centered to that button. Completely forgot. So we're going to right-click Canvas. We're going to go to UI, and we're going to select the Button Text Mesh Pro. So it's really cool, but Unity has a lot of UI options, and a button is one of them. So we don't actually have to manually program like clicking on the button or anything like that, but Unity kind of has all of that covered in-house for us, which is super neat. So I'm gonna delete the text option that the button comes with. It just says button. Delete it, and I'm gonna drop the text that we created into the button. And then I'm gonna go to the button, and I don't really like this background image. I'm just going to disable this image right here. So I can do that by unchecking the checkbox next to image. So that's just going to disable the image. Then if I look at the size of the button by selecting the rect tool, I can go ahead and increase the size a bit, so that the button wraps around the play. And I can do that by selecting one of the corners and then holding Alt so that the button is, so that resizing it is centered. Cool, that looks good. So again, you can choose the corner of the button by selecting the rect tool, left clicking and holding, and then hold Alt, and then you can just resize the image to however you want to. Cool. And last but not least, now I'm going to move my button at the very top of the screen. And if this doesn't look quite like mine, then we can still, then just let me know and I can show you like the easiest way to get to that. But make sure the button is at position X0. And then the text should be centered. You can also make it centered within the button by clicking on the rect transform and just shift alt clicking the center right here. So let me know when you guys have a button and a text attached to it. And are we having any like problems with aligning it?
I'm about to move it up to the top. Sorry, it's taking a little bit.
All good. Just use the move tool, or you can actually just directly set the button position Y as well.
Cool.
Another option, if you guys want to align the button somewhere, is you can actually shift click, let's say the button you want at the very top center, can alt shift click this part of the rect transform, and then just move the button down a little bit by creating, say, moving it down like -50. So that's going to anchor the button to the top center, and then you can, or when I say anchor, set like the button 0, 0 to be top center, and then if I move -20, it's going to move a little bit south of that center. Okay, cool. And the next thing I want to do is I actually want to get in play mode so I can see changes live. I press play, and right now I can't actually do anything with the button. What I want to do is be able to click on it and then be able to give the player some like tactile feedback. So if I click on my button in the inspector, I'm going to go down to my button script, which is a component. I'm going to make sure it's interactable. It should already be that as a default, and the transition should be a color tint, which should be the default. If you wanted to, you can swap sprites or add an animation to your button, but I think all we really want to do is add a color tint. So the normal color, I'm going to set the alpha value to be 0. The highlighted color, I think I want to make my button a little bit darker. Oh, and in order for this to work, we have to actually re-enable the image. So now if I hover over this button, it gets darker. It's kind of a little bit wonky right now, and that's because we still have to work with the press color and the disabled color, which I think we're just going to turn off. So normal color, we should actually, let's make it black actually. So I'm just going to make all the colors black, but as we keep on interacting with the button, we're just going to up the transparency, or up the alpha value, which should decrease transparency. So the normal color should have should be completely transparent. The highlighted color, maybe you give it like an alpha value of like 100, and then the press color just a little bit darker. So if I hover over this button, this should be what it looks like. If I press it, it gets a lot darker. That's a bit too dark for me though. Cool. I'm just going to play around with the button a bit so that it looks how I want it to look. I think the button is a bit too thick for me, so I'm going to adjust the rect transform by holding Alt, click Alt. Oh no! What happened? Something like that. There we go. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to right-click and right-click my button component and copy the component. That's because we're in play mode right now. So if we get out of play mode, all of our changes actually aren't saved. So I need to copy this component, get out of play mode, and then paste the component back in. So I completely forgot about that, and I changed the rect transform. And I can only copy one component at a time on my clipboard. So I'm just gonna have to redo the rect transform once I'm out of play mode. And hopefully none of you guys did what I just did. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of play mode. My buttons should be reset back to white. I'm just gonna paste component values. Then I'm going to adjust my rect transform as I had earlier. Here we go. Cool. So now if I get in and out of play mode, I should be able to interact with my button. Oh, and of course I have to enable the image.
Yeah, you can really see the text shadow, you know,
You see the what?
the text shadow.
Yeah, you can. Once we change the color to be like a gradient, right? It's a bit nicer. If it's like too much, we could like adjust the softness or the alpha value and so on. Okay, how are we doing with our buttons? Doing good? Awesome. Now we're gonna create like a lot more buttons. I'm gonna rename this to be the play button. I'm actually gonna create a couple of buttons. I'm gonna just Control D, click this button and Control D, and that's gonna duplicate it. Then I'm gonna go to the move tool and just kind of move this a little bit underneath the play button. You'd like to center the screen like right there. And I'm gonna call this options button. Options. Then we're going to change the text, say options. And oh no, the sizing is a little bit off. So I'm just gonna go into my rect tool. Make sure to click on the text. And then just resize it like that. And that's going to move my options off center. How do I do this? Okay, this is a little funky. I'm trying to figure out. I think it was the way I resized my options, but I can't quite center the options text anymore. So let me try that again. Okay, there we go. Instead of using the rect tool, you're going to want to use the scale tool. That's not quite right. Oh, sorry, apologies. Okay, so when you rescale text, to make sure that it stays centered, you're going to want to click on the diagonal and hold shift. I forgot that was needed. So then now my options is centered and everything is at 0, 0. And this is on the text option. Then for my button, if I click on it and I have the rect tool open, I can see that it's not really the size I want it to be. So I'm just going to click Alt and then scale it up again or increase the size. Cool. And I probably want the width to be, or the height to be about the same as my play button. So I'm just gonna double check that the height is the same. Okay, there we go. I just copied the height over from the play button. Then we're just gonna copy, or we're just gonna Control D again to duplicate this, or Control C, Control V, copy and paste. Just gonna move it down again, and I'm just gonna create a quit button. Oh. So that's quite large. Just make sure it's a bit smaller. Awesome. So now I have 3 buttons that should all be interactable. And hover and click over all of them. So let me know when you guys have all 3 buttons. Cool. Okay, so this is the part where we actually get to scripting, my favorite part about Unity. We're going to create something called a menu controller, which is just going to handle or hold the scripts that we're going to use to control everything in our scene. So to create something like a menu controller, a game controller, that kind of, whatever kind of controllers you want to create, like an audio manager maybe, we're going to create a new sprite or a new game object. And it's going to be right-click on the hierarchy, create empty. I'm going to call this a menu controller. So it's not going to have anything except for a transform, but the transform doesn't even matter. And we're just going to add a new component, and I'm going to create a menu controller. If you click on add component and you type in something that doesn't exist, it's going to recommend that you create a C# script, which is exactly what I want to do. I'm going to create and add the script. Cool. Now that I have the script created, I can double click the script to open it in Visual Studio. And it's going to create a generic C# script that imports Unity and inherits from mono behavior, which is exactly what I want.
Sorry,
So
can you go over that one more time? Sorry.
Which part?
How to create the script.
We're just gonna go to add components and then type in menu controller in the search bar. And it's going to say new script. And click on new scripts and click create and add. Alternatively, if if that's not like your thing, you can also right click on the project folder, click create C# script. And then you'll have to drop it into the menu controller yourself. And if you look in your project folder, you'll see that a menu controller script was created in your project folder. And I'm actually going to create a new folder called scripts. Oh, it looks like I already have, oh wait, wrong project. Okay, no, that was the right project. Looks like I already have a folder called scripts that I can drag and drop my menu controller into. So Let me just drag this into my scripts folder. And I think the scripts folder was created from the last workshop. Okay, so now if I open up my scripts folder, see where did it go? Not sure where it went, so I'm just gonna double click it and open it again. What I wanna do is actually create functions that will run whenever we click on the play or quit buttons. So I'm going to create a public function because a different game object will access this function. It's void, meaning that's not going to return anything. I'm just gonna call it play. Visual Studios might suggest that you use a default function. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna do public void play. And Unity actually has a function that will let us load a different scene. So at the very top of the script, I'm going to put using Unity engine.scene management. And then in play, I'm going to do scene manager.load scene. And this should be the second scene that we have in our build settings, which we're going to change in a second. Therefore, we're going to put in a 1 because C# is 0 index. So we're going to load scene 1. So we're going to make it so that when we click the play button, we're going to load the first scene by attaching this function to the play button. And we also want to make sure we have a quit button, public void quit. No. What is the function for quitting? Okay, and then the function is application.quit. Pretty simple. We can also just print out quitting right now since we're not building our game, so we're not actually able to see if our application quits unless we just kind of debug a statement or like print a statement in our console. So keynotes don't need an update function. We are importing a library in C#. It's called actually using a namespace called Unity engine.scene management, which will allow us to load a different scene and to quit our application. Let me know when you guys are good to go. Okay, cool. So let's go back to Unity here. Now what we're going to do is actually attach this to our buttons. So I'm going to go to my play button in the inspector. And Unity actually has this cool feature in the UI, in the button script. There's an on-click section. We're going to press the plus button. So this is going to be a list of all the things we do on click. Then because our script is attached to the menu controller, I'm going to drag this menu controller to the object here, or to the section here. And on runtime, actually I could do editor and runtime. I'm going to put in menu controller. Then I'm going to choose a function. I can go look into the game object functions, but we're specifically, these are all the different components of the game object. We're going to go to the menu controller script and choose the public play function that we created earlier. So now on click, we're going to access this game object and call the play function that is part of the game object. We're going to do the same thing with the quit button. Just going to drag the menu controller in, go to menu controller, and then quit the game. Then the last thing we're going to want to do is work with our options button, which is going to be a little bit different from the play and quit because for the options, we actually don't need to have any scripting involved at all, depending on what you guys want to do for options for your games. But I think here we're just going to open up a kind of different menu. If you wanted to like load a different level or change the volume or change any graphic settings, this would be how you would want to show it to the player.
I'm not. I think I missed a step.
Okay.
I'm not seeing the play function in the drop down.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, okay. If you go to the script, did you make sure that your function is public?
Yes.
Okay, and you saved the script.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and is the script attached to the menu controller game object?
Yeah, mine is.
Okay. And then if you go to play button, where you see button, you're gonna drop the menu controller into this section here.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure to choose menu controller from your options for the play button.
Oh, okay, I dropped the script into there instead of the object.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Noah, did you get yours working?
No, so so menu controller. So play button,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Do you want to share your screen?
yeah.
Okay. In the meantime, you guys should try testing out your project to make sure your quit button works or your play button works too. Okay. Oh, I think you have the same problem that Kevin did. You're going to want to make sure that you create a game object. So you're going to right click hierarchy and then create empty. And you can name this something like menu controller. You're going to want to make sure the script is attached to it. So go ahead and drag the menu controller. Yep, that works.
Oh,
Cool. Now if you go to the play button and you scroll down, cool, these are interesting colors. You're going to want to drop the game object here. So not the script, but the game object. So go back to the play button and make sure to select the game object here and drag and drop it. It's a little bit finicky, but you're gonna wanna just right click or left click and hold, yeah. Cool, and then now you can access the component. If you had a static script, you could just drop the script directly into the on click area. But since this is not a static script and we need an instance of the menu controller, this would be how we would approach the problem here. Just a side note. Okay. Cool. Sorry, we're running a little bit late on time. We're just gonna quickly wrap up the options button and then that'll be the end of the workshop. So now I'm gonna go to options. And what I want to do is I actually want to stay on the same scene. When I click on the options, I just want to load up a different menu or a different look. So to do that, I'm actually going to select my play button, option, and quit by shift selecting. And I'm going to drop it into my panel. So I'm going to nest everything into this panel right here. I'm actually going to call this panel main menu. So if I enable or disable it, it's just going to get rid of all like my main menu buttons. Then I can actually just close or collapse the folder as well. I'm going to copy the folder over and I'm going to create an options menu. I'm going to disable the original main menu by unchecking it, but nothing should change in your original scene because we still have this options menu that we've kind of copied exactly. So now we have two game objects, a main menu and an option menus. And they should look identical, but we're going to go ahead and make changes right now. Cool. So in my options menu, what I'm going to do is actually delete my play button. I don't really need that. Actually, I'm going to keep it there for now because I'm going to move my options and scroll it up to where my play button is. So right there. Now I'm going to delete my play button. And I do want a quit button, but instead of quit, I'm just going to name it back. I'm going to make it a lot smaller, like 50. Oh no, 50. There we go. These are all just aesthetic things. If you don't have exactly what I have, it's fine. I'm gonna go to my options and make sure it's not interactable as well, because the options shouldn't do anything. This is just going to be my little header. And in here, you can actually create whatever you want to. If you wanted to have like a level scene and select a level and then go back and hit play for your game, you can do that. If you wanted to change the volume of the game, you can do that here too. And that's actually what we're gonna do. We're gonna explore a new UI option. If you right click, go to UI, and we're gonna explore something called a slider. It's really cool. There is a slider right here. I think it's not visible. It should be visible. If it's not visible, just play around with it like I just did right now. Don't really know why it wasn't visible at first, but I think it was just glitchy. And I'm just gonna change the scale of my slider so it's kind of nicer. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. And a slider is just about everything you might expect. If I go into play mode, I can move the slider around. And I can actually retrieve the value in script as well. We're not gonna actually worry about creating a volume slider. We're just going to create the UI for it. I'm gonna maybe, make that a little bit bigger. I'm gonna open up the slider, just make it a little bit more aesthetic. Let's see, I'm gonna disable the handle right here. So that's kind of ugly. And for the background, I'm just gonna make it black. Yeah, something like that. This is too nice. For the fill area, I'm gonna choose maybe like a nice orange. Yeah, that looks good. So that's all here. So now if I get into play mode, a bit. I have this nice slider that the player can just change. I probably want to make sure the player knows it's like going to be my volume slider. So I'm just going to, let's see, copy the text. I'm just gonna move the text around like right here. I'll make it smaller, not too small.
So sorry, but I actually have to take off now. I have another meeting, but thank you so much, Emily.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
see you
Kevin,
guys.
for coming. All right. Sorry, guys. I'll try to wrap up in the next like 5 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Let me know when you guys have this menu finished. All right, we're good to go. So I'm actually gonna disable the options menu. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna disable options and bring back the main menu. Then I'm gonna go to my options button. I'm gonna scroll down to my button script, and this is where the magic happens. We're gonna add objects similar to what we did last time, except this time it's going to be a little bit different. We're not gonna actually create any scripting. So again, we have a main menu and an options menu. What we wanna do is enable the options menu and disable the main menu. That's pretty cool. All we need to do is drag the options menu into this object section right here and choose the game object set active function. And we can check for true and uncheck for false. And this is going to just set the game object as active. So we want our options menu to be active and drop in our main menu. We're gonna want that to be inactive. And the order does matter here because if we set our main menu as inactive first, it's going to close up the main menu and then the button's not gonna remember to set the options menu as active. So make sure to set the options menu active first and then set the main menu inactive. So this is the options button right here. Okay, now I'm going to disable the main menu, re-enable the options menu, and we're gonna do the same thing for the back button. Oh, so I copied the quit button to create the back button, so I'm just gonna click this minus sign here to remove it. And I'm just gonna do the same thing, except I'm gonna do it inverse. I'm going to set the main menu as active, and then I'm going to disable the options menu. It's kind of cool how much we can do without any scripting. And now if you hit play, oh, actually, if you hit play, it's gonna open the options menu. I wanna make sure we're on the main menu. So I'm just gonna disable options again and re-enable main menu. And now if I hit play, let's see if this game works. Okay, if I press quit, cool, I get this error message right here in my console. Every time I click it. I click on options, it takes me to the other screen, which looks pretty cool. If I hit play, something might have happened for me, but it might not have happened for you guys. If nothing happens, that's because we need to go into File, Build Settings, and you just have to add the 2 scenes from your project folder into your build settings. And then you can just exit out. So yeah, the player can now jump into the game.
Awesome.
Cool. And that's basically the end of the workshop. Do you guys have any, were you guys able to finish, or are we still working on anything?
No, it's great for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on this a little later, but thank you. You got a lot out of it.
Okay, awesome, I'm glad. Let me know if you guys want me to open up any of my settings in the inspector, if you have any other questions. But I think after this workshop, I might compile another document if you guys want to review any of the concepts that we covered, or any other user interface options that you might want to explore on your own.
This might not be the right place for it, but I think it would be like really cool, and it might be too much too. So if it is, it's totally cool too. But I think it'd be cool to do like build like a 2D game with like collision detection.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like build like a platformer, and then like just the player like falling down and like hitting the tile thing, you know, with gravity and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that next time. Or if not, I can send you some resources too if you wanted like specific resources to cover that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. That kind of thing is actually super easy to build because Unity handles a lot of physics on its own. All you have to do is add like a rigid body component to it and then enable gravity. And then you actually just put like a 2D character at the top of the screen and it falls down itself. And then like collides with other objects itself, as long as you add the right components. There's no scripting involved at all. Another reason like why I love Unity.
Oh, so it's like pre-built for you, or?
Yeah, it can be. In our car game, we didn't really have to handle the collisions too much when we were colliding with the obstacles because we just gave the obstacles a mass I believe. We gave all the obstacles a collider, and like some physics aspects that Unity has for you as a component, and then they were able to collide.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's a total side note, but Roadblocks is going public as a company, so is Unity. At least
Wow.
you can buy stocks in them. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I'm not going to buy anything.
I mean, so like, Noah, would that be an indicator? It's like the adoption of like the amount of people that students are gonna start learning this is gonna skyrocket, or?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Unity is huge already, and so is Roblox. I mean, it's like you just go onto YouTube for either of those, and they're just like. I mean, Unity is considered way more. Well, you can do a lot. Like you can do a hell of a lot with Roblox. Like, it's but yeah, they're both huge. I don't think it's going to change their adoption rate because they're just already gigantic.
Yeah.
But I want to see what Godot does. Honestly, I want to see if they get bigger. The open source one.
Yeah. Wait. So even Roblox went public too?
Yeah, Roblox is going public. It's crazy. Yeah, you'll be able to buy Roblox stock, not just Roblox bucks. Yeah. I don't know. It's well, you know what? It was funny about Unity. If you read their prospectus, there's a YouTuber named Games from Scratch. They make most of their money off the cloud. Believe it or not, they don't make money off you buying like the professional license. That was kind of funny. Yeah, but they didn't list any of the open source game platforms as a threat to them. They just listed like Unreal Engine and a few other things. So they don't take open source too seriously.
Oh, you mean like Godot or?
Yeah, it's like something that could bankrupt them, which is good. I mean, I don't want to see Unity go bankrupt, for the record. That'd be bad.
Yeah, spent a lot of time learning Unity. Wait, can I actually see some of your like user interfaces? I want to see, like, have you guys customized any of the colors or text or?
I can show you. I can show you mine. I didn't get too far, to be honest, but I did have some like cool effects. Oops, I think I did the wrong.
I'd love to see it.
Wrong view. Yeah, so I still need to go back and do. Can you see it?
I saw it earlier, but then I think you pulled the scene away.
Oops, wrong one. So let me uncheck this. Uncheck this. Yeah, I did weird button effects. So look at once this thing boots up. You can see the shadow pretty easily. I still need to hook up the.
No, I can actually see the. Can you share your screen again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's wrong. Is it on the wrong?
Yeah, I see the visual. Oh, I see it now. Oh, it's purple and orange. Okay, so you customize like each. Oh no, I see what you did. So there's the same colors on each button, but like the colors are different.
Yeah.
Depending on what you do. Nice, I like it. Eddie, what did you do? Can I see your UI?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I only have one screen at the moment, so it's a little hard to share. All right, I think this will do. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I did like a space background.
Mm-hmm. I think what would make this pretty cool is if maybe you added like a darker tint to the background.
Mm-hmm.
Something like the text really pops out.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I'm still playing around with colors, but.
Emily, could you add a GIF to the background as instead of like a PNG flat image, or?
I've never actually tried, but
Like theoretically.
I've never tried.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say yes. I want to say you can add animations, but GIFs, I'm not sure. Yeah. Nick, how about you? What's your UI look like?
Pretty much the same as yours. I kept it pretty minimalist, but
Classic.
I can share it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just the yellow colors. I went for like blue and gold at first, but it looked terrible, so I just changed it back to the just yellow and orange. And yeah, it's pretty much this. When you actually highlight it, they use the like kind of just different alphas to change the colors, but nothing really.
Mhm. That
Yeah.
looks awesome. Yeah. Okay. I had a couple of other concepts prepared, but I think I'll just send you guys maybe like the links to it if you're interested in learning more UI. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to the Unity workshop.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Stick around
thanks.
if you guys have any questions. But yeah, have a great week.
All right,
Thanks.
everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks again.